All right. Well, we're going to be going over fast start training tonight, and fast start training to me is probably to me it's like the most important thing, right? Because if you can get people off to a fast start, all your brand new people that are getting started, if you're brand new, we're going to get you off to a fast start tonight. If you are been around for a while and you're just jumping on tonight, you look at these things that we're talking about and just ask yourself how good you are at doing them and how you could get better if you've been around the business for a while, right? But let's talk a little bit about it, right? This is what I look like. So your past doesn't have to equal your future. I think a lot of times people look at where they are and they think, how am I going to be able to be successful? But the reality is when you become successful, you're not going to be the same person. You know what I mean? You're not going to be the same person. You're going to grow, you're going to develop, you know what I mean? So this is after a year in this profession. My mentor at this company that I worked with back in 1996, they gave me a brand new S-Class Mercedes Benz and that day, and it was just an experience that I couldn't even believe how fast my life had changed. But just realize that anybody that has a burning desire to change their future, understand that your past doesn't have to determine what your future looks like, right? You know what I mean? So understand that where everybody is right now, that's just great. Where we're going to be in the future as we grow and develop and get plugged in on calls like this and turn into a student and develop our skill sets and learn and grow, we're not going to be the same people that we are, right? We're going to grow and develop. So just realize your past doesn't have to equal your future unless you let it, right? So step number one, when it comes to getting off to a fast start, is discover your why. All right. Your why is going to be your bridge over troubled waters, right? When you come into challenge, you come into obstacles, uh, times aren't always going to be great. I always look at our business like anything, like a relationship. Like anybody that's ever, I've been married for 30 years. My wife is not always the most excited about me. Today, she's all excited about me. I went downstairs, gave her a big kiss before I came up here to do this call. Sometimes I may get a slipper thrown at me or whatever. It's just like, yeah, that's how relationships are. It's like a puppy, right? And if you, I'm joking about getting a slipper thrown. Someone's gonna be giving her a hard time at the convention, gonna be like, chill, throwing slippers. No, I'm just joking. But anyways, anything, you're going to have these ups and downs. Like you get a new puppy, you love it to death. It's so cute. And then it takes a poop on the floor, right? And you're like, oh my God, I still love this puppy, but just not as much. So it's the same thing with our business. You're going to have ups and downs. Just remember your why and have that long-term vision, right? So what most people do is everybody has huge desires, right? Maybe you want to retire your family members. Maybe you want to retire yourself. Maybe you want to, basically, take your family on a trip around the world, right? Maybe you want to get a brand new house so everybody in your family can get together for Christmas and New Year's and all those types of things. And maybe you've got these desires, right, that are just absolutely huge. But the problem is not what we want. The problem is what we got, right? Is our income. And what should naturally happen is what, right? Our income should grow to match our dreams. But what happens more times than not is our desires and our dreams will shrink down to match our income. You're like, man, I'd like to take my kids on a trip around the world, but you know what? If we could just get to Disneyland, that'd be pretty great too. And we shrink our dreams to match our income. We lower our desires to match our income. And we just shrink those things down. You're like, man, I want to retire my husband, but he's kind of good at what he does. You know what I mean? So people have different desires, and whatever it is, we don't want to shrink our desires to match our income. What we want to do is we want to have our income grow to match our desires. And how we do that is not what we've been doing before we got started in Riman, right? How we do that is doing something different. In order to get a different result, you have to do something different. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got, right? So in order to have different results, you have to do something different. And that's what Riman is, right? It's a different game plan. For many of us, it's the first time we've ever owned a business before. Let's face it, right? Many of us, we've never owned a business before. So we're getting started right now. Most of us have been W-2 our whole life, right? In America, W-2 means worker second class, and it's what people at a job get. And then people that own businesses, right? We get 1099s, right? So 1099s where you get the tax benefits. And it's, for many of us, the first time we've ever been 1099 people. And it's a whole new world for us. But you've got to have that long-term vision and know that you're going to become successful because you're just sharing a good idea. When you share a good idea long enough, it's going to fall on the right people. And I spelled this thing wrong. I'm just going to move forward in case nobody caught it. But I found the spell check button on my PowerPoints. I forgot to hit it before I started tonight, though. But anyways, we want to be tickling our toes and saying we don't want to be fighting rush hour traffic. Okay, anybody in Southern California knows where the 110, 101, 5, 10, 60 all meet. That intersection is just brutal, right? I don't think there's ever not traffic in that area, right? We don't want to be fighting traffic, right? We don't want to have to be sitting in bumper to bumper traffic. We want to be enjoying our life. And how do we do that, right? We've got to have a clear vision of what we want and know why we want it. So it's not what you want, but it's why you want it. You know, if you want to retire your husband or you want to retire your wife because you know that the job that they're going to is making them sick, right? That job is shortening their life. And if they could retire, you'd be able to add years to their life. That's a why, right? Not wanting to live a life, being at a job where your income is or at any where you have a disposable situation, right? Where you can be disposed of at any time. You want to be in a situation where you're in the driver's seat, where you're in control of your future. And that's what Riman's all about, right? So once you build it, I mean, it's yours, right? It's your income. So let's talk about how to do it. You got to pick your pack, right? Right when you get started, you know what you want. Let's go pick our pack, right? Where are we going to get started at? And it's very important the package that you pick because whatever you get started at is going to duplicate, right? So these are the different starter sets in the United States, right? We all know that some of these starter sets are going to set us up to win, right? And these are the starter sets, obviously, in Canada, right? And we know the bigger starter sets, right? The premiums and anything over 1,000 is going to help us unlock our unilevel month one. So why does everybody want to get at least 1,000 SP starter set, right? Why did everybody want to get that starter set? Well, the answer is obvious, right? Because if you have 1,000 in personal SP, right? Basically anything you buy or sell, and you have your 10 lifetime customers, which are basically free accounts, what happens is you're going to earn more money, right? Than you would if you got a 300 point set. So most people, when they get started, they want to earn as much they can, as fast they can. So what happens is if you don't get your 1,000, you're only going to get paid 5% on your level one recruits. But if you do get 1,000 point set or higher, when you recruit somebody, that understanding the fact that you've unlocked your unilevel that month, you're going to get 10% instead of 5% on your level one recruits. Okay. On your level two recruits, instead of making 0, you're making 5. So every month, everybody wants to unlock their unilevel because they earn more money, right? You want to get everybody making more money, right? I think everybody would agree with that. And how do you do that? It really matters how you start, right? If you dip your toe in the water and you're like, I'm just going to get a 300 point set, or I'm going to get one bottle of cream and I'm going to go to battle, right? It's like you want to get your hands on products to start your business. When I got started, I got 6,000 SP worth. And I'm not saying, hey, I'm better than you. And it doesn't matter where you get started. I'm not trying to make anybody feel weird about how, if they didn't get started like I did, which most people don't. But for me, it's like, I was going to, Chris and I were about to start our own company, and we'd raised about 7 million to do that. $7 million to start a company is a lot of money, right? But instead we went in this direction. It was like 6,000 to me looked like a slice of cake. I mean, it was nothing because number one, I knew I needed the products, right? Whenever, when you start a company, you make a minimum order, you make a, MOQ, right? A minimum order quantity of what you purchase, right? So for me, it was like, I need at least 6,000 in products so I can go out there and promote these products effectively. I didn't think everybody else was going to do it, but 38 people that we brought in did the same thing out of the first 40 people. So let me show you what happens. If you get started with 1,000 SP set or higher, if you get started with 1,000 SP set and recruit 5 people to do the same, guess what? Right? This is what happened. If you duplicated that out on your level 1 and level 2, what would happen is you're going to make $1,942 on level 2, and you're going to make $505 on level 1, and you're going to make $77 rebate, right? So when you take a look at what's available to you, understand the fact that you don't want to let this window of opportunity slip through your fingertips, right? You don't want to let this moment in time pass you by, where you want to get started right. Now, most people, when they get started, they're like, well, what do I have to do, right? Well, always remember, however you start will duplicate. So it's all about picking your starter set, okay? And you got to make sure when you get people started that you help them get started with some products, right? If they get a 1,000 point set, you already know you're helping them win big, right? And you got to care enough about people to help them become successful. So how you start, it will duplicate. So how many level 1 planners that you need to become a senior manager, depending on what starter set that you get. So if I get started with no set, I get no products, and I get a bunch of people that do the same thing, that's an infinity sign, right? You have to keep doing that forever because we got to have products being moved in order for us to become successful. Now, if you get a 300 point set, all you got to do is recruit 19 people with a 300 point set, and bam, that's 6,000. You're a what? Senior manager, right? If I get started with a 1,000 point set and I recruit 5, I got my 6,000. Okay. If I get started with a 1,500 point set and I recruit 3 people at 1,500, what happens to me? That's enough for what? Senior manager at 6,000. Now, if I get started with 2 1,500 point sets, basically 3,000, I'm going to start off as a manager, right? And then moving forward, after I get those 2 sets, I'm going to get manager pay. Then I get somebody else started. They get started as a manager. Then guess what happens? I just hit senior manager. So the beauty of this opportunity and the beauty of this program is the fact that wherever you get started at, the majority of people are going to want to do what you did. Okay, because people are going to follow your lead. People buy into you when they join Riman. So if you get started with 1,500 point sets, you don't have to recruit anybody. You're already starting as a senior manager, right? When you do start recruiting people, you're getting senior manager pay right out the gates. Okay, and you're actually getting a rebate, a manager rebate on the whole situation if you leapfrog past. Because if you go 0 to 3,000, you're going to get you bought basically $232 because you're getting 10% of the BP. Then when you go from 3,000 to 6,000, you're getting 464. So you're getting 20% of the BP. But if you jump in at 6,000, you're going to get 20% on that first 6,000. So instead, you're going to make $928. So you're making more money right out of the gates, number one. And if you do senior manager in and purchase, if you do it in one purchase, you're going to get paid as a manager on that first 6,000. And then once that volume hits, from that point moving forward, you're getting senior manager pay. So to me, that's how I started. Doesn't matter how you get started. Now I'm going to talk about NC Dart. You're going to hear me talk about it. If you're a senior manager or higher, I'm going to touch on this at the convention. But this is what I want to talk to you about, is understanding NC Dart. Okay. NC Dart is something that, like, that's how I built my business from the very beginning. And when you get started, you make a list. If you don't have this launching your business list, I'm going to bring it to convention. Chris and I I'm going to be passing it out to the senior managers and above. So everybody has their hands on one of these documents. On one side, it's got the launch your business. And when you flip it over, it's got a memory jogger on it. You guys are going to love this tool. But if you're not going to be at the event, some of you I know are in different countries, you just have your upline team leader reach out to me, and I'll send the PDF of this. You guys can print it out yourself, okay? But on the back, it goes over NC Dart. It goes to who do you know that's networking, and I go through a bunch of questions like that, a bunch of questions about CDART, right? So when you get started, the first thing everybody does is what? They make their list, right? When you have a list of 100 or plus, guess what happens? You got confidence, you got a backbone. So you never want to prejudge. The ones you think won't will, and the ones you think will won't. You never know who's going to be successful and who's going to see this opportunity. Okay. But when you're putting your list together, you want to help people identify who their people are that are the networkers, right? Who do you know that's a networker? Who do you know that's been in networking before? Who do you know that's got a big network? People that that are part of like, big organizations, whether it be a church organization or a religious organization or somebody that that's in the part of a youth sports organization or whatever. Who do you know that's got a big network, right? And then what you want to do is look at people that that have credibility. So think about who do you know that's got credibility. So when you're looking at your list of 100, once you make that list, then you want to NC Dart these people. You want to ask yourself, who do I know that's got a lot of credibility on this list, right? Then you've got to be thinking about, who do I know that's got a lot of desire? Think about that. Who do I know that has a ton of desire? That has a desire for a better quality of life, right? Who do I know that's got an amazing attitude? Do you guys see that? Who do I know that's got a great attitude? Okay. Who do I know that's got great resources, right? People that that have the financial wherewithal. Because usually people with money, they see this thing a lot quicker than people that can't rub two nickels together, right? Because people that are successful financially are successful usually because they take advantage of opportunity, right? And then obviously teachable, right? That last one at the bottom, you might not be able to see that it's teachable. So you're looking for people that are what? Teachable, coachable, with a willingness to learn. So these are the things that you're looking for in people, right? So when you're sitting down with a brand new person making your list, or if you're brand new and you're talking with your upline should be fired up whenever they see that you got somebody that's done networking before, somebody that has a really big network, or somebody that you know with credibility, or people that that have a ton of desire, people with positive attitudes, right? Resources, teachability, like these are the qualities that we're looking for when we build our business. Okay. So you've got to understand NC Dart, and you got to understand the power of your list. If you're not launching your business and you don't have your launching your business list, you're missing out. Okay. You got to have your launching your business list. Okay. And let's take a little bit of a look at what it looks like. Okay. Here's what I want to show you. To me, it's like your inventory, right? When you start a business, you have an inventory. Even if you own a cart, like the dude that sells outside the Laker game, sells the bacon wrap hot dogs, right? If you've ever been to a Laker game, you already know what I'm talking about, right? When you leave there, you can smell the bacon wrap hot dogs out of the Lakers game. And guess what? That guy knows how many buns he's got, right? And that's what your list is like, having your inventory. If you have a list of 10 and somebody says no, you're like, oh my God, I just lost 10% of my inventory. But if you have a list of 1 and somebody says no, you've only, guess what, lost 1% of your inventory. You guys see that? So your list is always going to be growing. When somebody says no, you're going to get referrals from them, right? But you want to have your list because your list is your inventory, okay? Step number 4, we're showing everybody the business, okay? When you think about Riman, it's not like you put that list together and you're going to find out who's interested. People are not going to be interested in something they don't know about. Right. So if you call somebody and say, hey, are you interested? Like if they were, that would be creepy, right? You're not looking for people who are going to be interested in something they don't know about. You want to get together with these people, find out when we can show them the business so we can get them interested in what we're doing, right? So think about what I'm telling you. You're going to, all this list of 100, I'm non-negotiable about having all these people look at Riman, okay? Now, whether somebody does it or not doesn't matter to me, okay? I'm not begging people to join my business, but I'm going to make sure they look at it because I don't want people getting mad at me about how much money I'm making because I didn't introduce them to it, right? So we're showing everybody the list. So this is the 4 tips that I use on inviting. When I'm getting somebody fired up about something, I'm just going to be very upfront, very excited, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. If I call somebody or I text somebody, this is how I mastered inviting, right? Is be very urgent, right? So urgency is more of an attitude, but then I'm going to hit somebody up like, hey, I might text them first and say, hey, I don't have a lot of time to talk today. I'm super busy, but do you have time later tonight? I want to jump on the phone with you real quick. I got some great news, right? That's a text to tee up. I teed them up with a text message, okay? And then they'll be like, yeah, or what's it about or whatever. It's like, hey, let's just connect on the phone at 6. It's kind of like a haircut. I can't do it over the phone. Let's I want to connect with you and kind of show you more about what I'm doing. So when we get together on the phone, now I'm setting up an appointment to meet with them, right? If they're local, I'm bringing them over to my house for a pop-up. I meet with them at a Starbucks for a pop-up. I'm going over to their house for a mini pop-up or whatever, but I'm getting in front of them, putting the product on them, having them fall in love with the product, and obviously sharing with them the opportunity, right? So when I call somebody, it's like, hey, just trust me. Whatever you got going on, I need you to cancel it, right? So this is when I get on the phone. I'm like, look, I'm not taking no for an answer, man. We got to get together next 24 hours, okay? What's your schedule look like? When do you have about an hour we can connect? Well, what is it? What is it? Look, I can't tell it to you over the phone. We got to get together in person. Now, if they're out of town or whatever, I'm going to get them on a Zoom, right? It might be a one-on-one Zoom with my upline. It might be an opportunity presentation, whatever it is, but I'm going to get them exposed to the information. Okay. I'm going to make sure that I share with them what I'm doing. Might be something that you're super fired up about. Might not be. Doesn't matter to me, but I got to show it to you because if you find out about this thing and if I don't show it to you, I don't want you getting mad at me. Like we got to meet. And then basically, because when you're very urgent, it creates excitement and action, right? When you say trust me, it lets them know that you care about them. And then whenever you're like, whatever you got going on, cancel it. They're like, well, this is super important, right? This is. I'm curious what this is now because I've never heard you talk like that. And I'm not taking no for an answer. That lets them know that you have a lot of confidence, right? And you're going to make sure that they win. So these are some of the tips that I use on inviting people to take a look at the opportunity. This is how these are the 4 things that were taught to me on day 1. Okay. Now, sort, don't sell. Prime example is this, right? If Piglet called you up or Eeyore called you up and tried to show you something, you'd be like, what? But if Tigger called you up, you'd be jacked. But even more excited is if Piglet was acting like Tigger, you'd be super pumped, right? Because when a reserved person becomes outgoing, it's way more powerful than when an outgoing person is being outgoing. When Piglet's acting like Tigger, people are like, what? What is going on? If Tigger's acting like Tigger, people are still like, okay, cool, whatever. But they're not as impressed, right? It's not as powerful. So if you're naturally more like Piglet, or even if you're more like Eeyore, and you act like Tigger, they're going to be like, what? So you want to make sure when you're creating excitement and urgency, you want to act like Tigger. And if you are like a Piglet or like an Eeyore or like an owl or a kangaroo or whoever your character is on Winnie the Pooh, if you're acting like Tigger, people are going to take a look at it because it's not normal behavior for you. So realize you might not be able to think to yourself, I'm going to be able to say, just trust me, whatever you got going on, cancel it. I'm not taking no for an answer. That seems like crazy for you. But if you have that type of urgency and excitement and that type of relentless attitude, people are going to be attracted to you. Okay. So step number 5 is promoting events in the system. That's really what success is all about in our business. Okay. You got to learn BAM FAM, right? Book a meeting from a meeting. Okay. Book a meeting from a meeting. Every time you come out of a meeting, you got to have another one ready to go, right? You got to always have another meeting you're promoting. Okay. You don't want to leave people stuck on base. Okay. What I mean by that, it's like baseball, right? You're on first base. What do? Boom, right? You might pique somebody's interest, might get them up to a K-pop. You might get them to an orientation. You might get them or to an overview, whatever. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You're just moving people along the bases. You're booking a meeting to the next meeting, to the next meeting. And then you're telling, man, at that meeting, we got to get you on this opportunity Zoom tomorrow. Tomorrow, Chris and I are doing one, right? Thursday night, Chris and I are doing an opportunity presentation. Get some people on, right? Man, I want to get you on a 3-way call with my sponsor. I want to get you on a 3-way call with my upline team leader, whatever it is. You're promoting the next exposure, right? It might be then it might be a pop-up or getting a glow up or demo or whatever, showing the products, getting them on the products on them. I don't know which one you did first, second, or third, and it doesn't matter. What matters is you're using multiple exposures. And then the 4th one is a connection call, orientation, whatever it might be, but you're rounding the bases, right? You're rounding the bases. You're rounding the bases. You're rounding the bases, and you're not leaving runners stuck on base. That's what I want you to understand is BAM FAM. Book a meeting from a meeting. Every time you leave a meeting, you got to have another meeting lined up with your new person, okay? And there's two types of methodologies, right? You can build Riman by playing the telephone game, right? You guys all remember Whisper Down the Lane or the telephone game? That's an option. Or you can build Riman by promoting a system. Now, what happens if you build it around a system? I'm going to tell you guys, with my last company that I built, Chris and I, we built that company for 3 years, and then we didn't do anything for about 11 years. And the residual income kept coming in month after month after month after month because we built a system-dependent business, not a person-dependent business. You understand? If you're trying to build it around you and say you get an injury, like one of our top directors like broke her leg this week, like goodness gracious. Like when I saw that, I was like emotional. She's such a sweetheart. But if she's built a system dependent business, so her business will continue to keep growing while she heals, right? So you want to make sure you build a system dependent business. You're not doing Whisper Down the Lane, right? You know, everybody knows the telephone game. You tell somebody, as that goes down, it gets watered down. What we do is we build a system dependent business and we get 100% of the information to the people, right? We all know the Riman system, pop-ups, orientations, overviews, conventions, right? That's our system. Okay. That's what we promote. You're getting people to K pop-ups, right? Getting people to orientations, getting people to overviews, right? Getting people to conventions. And you're getting people into the Riman system and they're getting 100% of the information as opposed to playing Whisper Down the Lane. So you've got to learn how to promote. If you learn how to promote, you can make big money. Okay. And let me share with you a little bit about understanding the art of promotion. Okay. Let's say you've got 5 people on your team. I'm just giving you an example. Maybe you got 3. I don't know. Maybe you got 1. Maybe you're brand new. Whatever. But you want to be disciplined when the amounts are small. Okay. So if you got 5 planners, and let's say there's an event coming up, let's use the convention as an example. How many of those people would you like to have at the convention, or how many of those people would you like to have on tomorrow's overview with guest? Right? Like how many people? Right? Just think about that for a second. Probably all of them, right? Most people are like, I want all of them, right? It's kind of like I tell my kids, don't brush your teeth, just brush the ones you want to keep. You know what I mean? So how many of them do you want paying attention? How do you get them to pay attention? You promote, right? If I tell somebody, hey, look, you want to jump on this call and you want to take a lot of notes. You want to be on the edge of your chair with your cameras on, showing the leaders that you're serious. That's the type of promotion. Now you got them on, but if they're doing the laundry while they're on a Zoom, they're probably not getting a lot out of it. If they're, at the gym working out while they're on a Zoom, they're not getting much out of it. And whether a new person's doing that or not has to do with what? How their sponsor promoted it to them. So you want to promote people to be on the edge of their chair, taking notes on every Zoom, every call, everything that you can promote to them, mainly when they're new. But what happens if they're paying attention, right? What happens if they attend the training, right? If somebody attends the Long Beach, what happens? They come out ready to run through brick walls. They're fired up. They're excited. They feel this amazing feeling, right? They're jacked. They're excited. Okay. Now, what happens if they don't attend? They're beating themselves up, aren't they? Right? They're like, man, I should be going to that event or whatever. And you should have just gotten there right when they got started, right? When somebody joins that day, man, we got to start promoting the event to them and getting them committed, right? So how to get them to it? How do you get them to attend? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about promoting events for a second, okay? Because this is a skill that pays, guess what? Big money. That's what Jim Rohn says, okay? But you got to be disciplined when the amounts are small. So what is promoting? When there's an upcoming event, you want to be personally reaching out to your team to get them committed that they're going to attend, right? Make a phone call, FaceTime call, voice note, personalized text. Personalized text is the one that we could debate that if that's really powerful or not, but it's definitely more powerful than posting and praying, right? We'll talk about that in a second. But when you send a voice note, they can feel your excitement, you know what I mean? But when you reach out to them and you get them fired up about the event, they feel important. They know that you care. They know the event is important. You're establishing the correct culture in your organization. Like when you have a big organization, what do you want your team doing, right? When you have an organization, let's say of 100,000 people, do you want people doing the right stuff or the wrong stuff? How do you get them to do the right stuff is you do it right from the beginning. So they don't know a wrong way. They don't have a bad culture that you got to change. Okay. So you're establishing the right culture when you do it that way. And a phone call, FaceTime, voice note, they can feel your energy. So when you're promoting, that's what you want to be doing, obviously. Now, what is the difference, right? You want to be disciplined when the announcement. If you're an announcer, right, you just post and pray people attend. When there's an upcoming event and you post and pray, you see an upcoming event. Maybe somebody posts something in a group, you see an upcoming event, you're like, I got to get my team on that. So you don't send a voice note, you don't send a personalized text, you just pray that they jump on there and they see the same post that you saw. pretty good chance it's not going to happen. Number one, they're not going to feel special if you don't call them or reach out to them. They don't know that you care, right? They don't know how important the event is. You're not establishing the right culture in your organization, and they won't feel your energy. So when we got started in the industry in 1990, in 1990, I didn't get started in 1990. Geez, I'm not that old. But and if you got started in 1990, I'm not bashing you how old you are. I'm sorry if I offended you, but I got started in 96, right? 30 years ago. So when I got started 30 years ago in this profession, like there was no WhatsApp groups, there was no text messaging, there was no voice notes, there was no FaceTime. You had to literally call people on their landline and get them jacked up. And then you had to get them to get in their car, drive down to the event, dress sharp. So we had a whole methodology on how we did that, right? And we were good at it, right? But people could feel the excitement and the energy because we were promoting, right? I was calling everybody up, dialing. I called it dialing for dollars, right? I would spend at least 4 or 5 hours a day promoting events, right? Calling people up, getting them jacked up about the next event. I'm telling you right now, the promoting events is a lost science. I mean, it literally is a science. It's not an art. Anybody can do it, but it just takes want to. It takes desire. Like if you really want it bad enough, you're going to call your people, get them fired up and excited. Okay. So when a new person starts, you want to get them committed to the convention ASAP. So every time they hear about convention, they're getting more excited, more excited, more excited, more excited. Because like, ooh, I'm going, ooh, I'm going, ooh, I'm going. You want to make sure you're first minute, not last minute. I'll give you the prime example about this is my wife, my beautiful wife. She brought she bought tickets to Justin Bieber. This is like probably a decade ago, maybe more than 10 years ago. But anyways, he was like brand new on the scene and he was doing a concert out in San Diego for my daughter, right? My daughter wanted to go. She loved him. She's like, oh my God, she got the beer fever, right? She was all like that. And she got 3 tickets. One for my wife got one for her, for my daughter, and for her best friend, my daughter's best friend. And they're all going to the Bieber concert. Okay. Now the concert's in August. They get the tickets in January. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, all 8 months, my daughter was in the best mood, doing her homework, helping out around the house, so fired up. Every time somebody had a Justin Bieber shirt on at school, she was like, oh my God, I'm going to that concert, right? Every time a Bieber song came on the radio, oh my God, I'm going to that. It's like, we got so much mileage out of it. We got so much mileage out of it. But if we would have waited till like 24 hours in advance and just bought the tickets, we wouldn't have got those 8 months of excitement. Same thing with your new people, right? You want to get your new people committed for the convention ASAP. So every time we talk about convention, they're like, I'm going. And as opposed to, oh, I still need to get committed to that. Oh, I need to get committed to that. And then they don't feel good about themselves, right? So you got to make sure everybody's getting committed first minute, not last minute. And we build convention to a convention. We got 2 conventions a month. What do you want to do, right? Every time somebody gets started in your team, what do? You get them committed to the convention, right? Somebody gets started at March 1st. What are we doing? Bam, we're getting committed to the September convention, right? Or the next convention. You're just building event to event. If you're getting your brand new people started and committed to the event, meaning you're getting them a ticket, getting them a plane ticket, making sure they get a hotel reservation, make sure they get all that stuff dialed in, guess what happens? Think about what happens. If I do that in March, they're jacked in April, they're jacked in May, they're excited in June, they're excited in July, August they're fired up, September they're promoting. So now they're going to have 10 or 15 or 20 people at the event too, because they're building for the event. But if I don't get them started and I'm like, oh, the event's going to be exciting, we'll talk about that later, you're basically setting them up for failure. So you got to understand, we got to promote. So if this is Riman, I got a surprise for you guys. I'm going to tell this group because you guys are like a little special group. I got one of these. I bought one of these. Don't tell anybody though. Seriously, don't be telling people because it's going to be so rad. I shouldn't even tell you guys. You'll be jacked. But I bought one of these Hot Wheels race tracks. And when I do my training, I'm going to break one of these out, dude, and I'm going to show everybody. It's going to be super cool. But don't tell anybody I told you, okay? But here's the convention, right? So if this is Riman, the thing that shoots the cars out, that's the convention. The convention shoots the cars out. And when they're coming around, they're starting to slow down. And then boom, they hit through that thing again and they fly. That's the convention. The convention is that little thing that shoots the cars, okay? So it's the motorized car shooter. I don't know what it's called, but you understand that's the deal. Like that thing right there is what builds your business for you, right? So you got to be promoting the convention because that's the number one, that's the centerpiece of all that we do. Because what happens at the convention, just so you know, when you get your team to the convention, that's when they make a decision to get committed to success. In between the convention, they grow through the process, the ups and downs, and they grow and develop, right? And then they have victories, they have defeats, they have victories, they have defeats. And they are basically what's happening is they're growing. But the only place that they're going to make a true decision at is the convention. So at the convention, it's like when you get up somebody to a convention, it's like it's hitting the checkpoint and outrun. I don't know if you guys remember the video game, but You hit the checkpoint at Outrun, you get a time extension, right? You put a quarter in the machine, you get to play, and then boom, you get the time extension. You hit a time extension, you hit a time extension, you miss time extension, boom, game's over. Same thing with our planners. We got to get everybody committed. First minute, build your business around the events. That's like I don't understand. I don't understand the planets and all that stuff. And I've got friends that think the Earth's flat. So I'm not going to get into like some crazy debate about this stuff because I've never been to outer space and I could care less. But what they taught me is like the sun is the center of the universe. Okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I've never been to outer space. I've never seen that. Okay. So I don't even know. That's what I was told. But if that is true, everything revolves around it. That's the convention. Everything revolves around the convention. All of our system that we do, everything promotes into the system, into the convention. That's the centerpiece, because that's when people make true decisions to get committed. Okay. So let's talk about action. Without action, nothing counts. So here's what I want to share with you. We love the products in Riman. We share that enthusiasm. We transfer that emotion. And what happens is what? We get new customers. If you want to get new customers, use more products. Get what I just said. I know people are like, what? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, let me explain. If I put on a dabadooya, right? A little dabadooya. I just do a little dabadooya, okay? Just a dab here, dab there, and a dabadooya. Or if I put a lot of cream on. You guys got to realize, if I put on this X cream a ton, what happens? You already know I'm getting better results. If you don't know you're getting better results by putting a lot more on, then you haven't put a lot on, okay? So I put a lot on because I was like, they were like, Chris, Danny was like, dude, yeah, if you put a lot of this stuff on, the more you put on, the better results you get. So I'm like, done. So I was just caking it on my face, looking like glowing. Everybody's like, what's up with this dude? And I got all these compliments, and it opened the doors for me to recruit people, right? And opened up the door for me to get new customers, right? So if you fall in love with the products more, the more you use it, the better results you get, the more compliments you get, the more your emotion and excitement gets higher about the products, the more customers you're going to get. Loving the opportunity, right? People are like, I love this opportunity. Well, share the enthusiasm, transfer the emotion, and you're going to get new planners. Somebody goes, well, Tim, I want to get new planners. Love the opportunity more, right? Get more fired up and excited about it. Like, get more pumped and excited about not where you are, but where you're going, right? You know, have a better attitude about what you've got. My mentor taught me, like, it's all about gratitude, right? Gratitude is how it's the magic of miracles, right? When you have an attitude of gratitude, that's how you attract miracles into your life, right? Is gratitude. So be more grateful for this opportunity. I've been very fortunate to be in other opportunities before, and I know there's nothing like this. I know there's nothing better than Riman. I know that. Like, I know I've been around the block. I've seen these companies. I've been around this thing for 30 years. I've never seen anything in my life that even comes close to what Riman's got. Nobody's got 160,000 square foot smart farm, building a resort for the top people. We go into these countries, man, we do it right. Like, we have huge buildings, Mike. It's unbelievable, right? So I love events. Why? Because that's how I was born. I never miss an event no matter what. So my love and passion for the event's undeniable. And I share that and transfer that emotion. That's how I get a lot of people to the event. But if you want to get more people to the convention, what do you got to do? You got to raise your excitement. If you're going to this event in Long Beach, right? I know a lot of people are traveling today, but if you're at this event in Long Beach this weekend, open your heart, take a lot of notes, absorb the information, and come out of there different than you were when you came in. You understand? And you'll have this love and this passion, and it'll permeate to other people when you talk to them. It'll transfer. So let's talk about what's going on, right? How do you raise your belief? People will be afraid not to join you if they know that you know where you're going. Always remember that. People will be afraid not to join you when they know that you know where you're going, okay? Confidence is contagious, but so is lack of confidence, okay? People don't care where you are. They care where you're going. So many people are like, man, once I hit director. Dude, no. You want to get people started before, like, when you're a senior manager. Because you understand, like, we had about 10 legs running, okay? Right when we got started, in this compound, we got to get 10 legs running. So Chris and I went out there and recruited about 10 legs. All those people saw us go from senior manager to team leader to director to senior director to national director. You understand? Like, when you are going through the ranks, your people get pumped. Get people in now. Don't think once I become a team leader, once I become a director, once I become a national director, people are going to follow me. No, dude, people care where you're going. People care where you're going, not where you are. Okay. So you got to be a tour guide leader, not a travel agent leader, right? A travel agent leader will tell somebody about success, but this launch training, this is a tour guide. but you got to be a tour guide for your people. You got to take them by the hand and get them to where they want to go. Fall in love with your team. Fall in love with your team. Fall in love with your organization, right? Love your people. Like this family. Like you're creating a community of family. Like one thing I'll tell you is that I love my team. Everybody on my team, I love them, right? I love them. You know what I mean? It's like, I love them. I just absolutely love them. Some of them are difficult to deal with, but I love them anyways. Sometimes we have difficult kids to deal with, but we love them anyways, right? So always understand, you're always overcoming objections. That's our business. You understand? If I'm moving somebody from A to B, I'm overcoming an objection. If I'm sharing the product with somebody and they've got an objection, that's not bad. People are so afraid of objections. Objections are buying signs. That just means that's where you need to spend a little bit more time promoting. You guys see that? Spending more time getting people excited about that. Okay? That you didn't, it's like, okay, boom, I realized I didn't hammer that hard enough. Let me spend some more time there. If I'm talking to somebody and they're already in the business and they're excited, but they're like, I don't know, I got to go to convention. Boom. I obviously didn't explain it well enough. So I've got to hammer that home, right? So you understand you're always overcoming objections all the way to the top, right? You're navigating your team, you're navigating your leaders. Confidence, here's what I want to tell you. Confidence is going after Moby Dick in a rowboat and taking the tartar sauce with you. I love that one. You guys all know the book Moby Dick. The dude was like, Moby Dick was a big whale, right? And if you jump in a rowboat and you bring some tartar sauce with you, that to me is confidence, knowing that you're going to win. You got to know you're going to the top. You got to know that you're going to become a success. You got to know that this is it, that this is your time to make it happen, your time to step up, that you're going all out massive action, that your heart's on fire, and that you're going to become a success no matter what. When you know that, then it's time to promote, right? It's time to get after it. What do we got going on? Thursday night, Chris, Kim, and I are doing the Riman reveal. I'm going to be doing it from Danny Bay's hotel room, okay? Chris and I are going to be up at Danny Bay's hotel room doing that one, okay? Friday, what are we doing? All right, we got the convention. We got the senior manager and above training from 2 to 6. You got to be a senior manager by tonight to be a part of it, right? And then, so what do we got going on Saturday? Saturday, 8:30, doors open up. Party begins. Riman Convention, Long Beach. Let's go. At 8 o'clock that same night, we're doing a neon party, right? We're going to be partying it up at the Long Beach Convention Center. It's going to be a cash bar, right? Come ready to have fun. And we're going to be doing a DJ's raffles, swag, 360 booth. It's going to be fun. And then guess what? On Saturday at 3:30, make sure, I should have put this before, but Saturday at 3:30, we're going to be doing live updates from the convention. That's going to be during the lunch break. We're going to be talking to everybody that's not at the event about all the exciting things that are happening. So that's at 3:30 Pacific. All the top leaders are going to be on there with us. And then Saturday night, we all know pay period deadline, get everything in. Everybody's running in for pay period deadline, closing out strong, making sure that we got our unilevel unlocked, making sure that we got our all of our customer points in, making sure that we got everybody rank advance, the senior manager, the team leader that's running this month. Obviously, this is it. This is our time to make it happen, our time to step up. And I want to tell you personally, you know what, that I'm fired up and excited. I can't wait for this weekend. If you're going to be with us, man, we are going to have the time of our life. And I just want to tell you that I appreciate you jumping on this call tonight. I appreciate you capturing this information. And I want to let you know right now that we are here. We're going to the top together. We're not letting anybody get left behind, and that we love you and that we're doing this thing together. So with that being said, God bless you. Thanks for joining us. Hope you got great value. And if you don't have a list, you guys remember how I talked about that list? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add the list. This is big. I'm going to add the list to guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to add the list to the replay on Team 1% webpage. So when I put the replay up in a little bit, I'm going to put the link to the list. So I'm gonna do it in black and white too, so it's easier for you guys to print. The one I have is in green. I'll put it in black and white, so it's easier to print too. So I'm gonna put that up there in the replay. Boom. I'll do replay, and then right in the comment section, I'm gonna put that. So love you guys. Let's make it happen. We'll see you guys at the top. Let's do it together. Love you.